Hello, welcome to episode number 3 of the series of about the game jam, the Trex game jam. So it's episode number 3. Without further ado, let's go to the usual ritual. So as always, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow us, like, and play those videos. I'm trying to reach the target that YouTube wants so that it can start sharing the videos, and I hope I will manage in the next few weeks. I'm close to it, but it takes time. And anyway, after that, it will still need time. So yeah, but please follow, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I remind you that under each video there's this button, show more. Click it and you'll get links, and you get links not just to all the playlist but also to code. So please make sure that you click there. Besides that, and of course they're going to take their time today. Today I released episode number 15 of Let's Make an Amiga Game. There is only one more episode, and then there is one that I'm keeping. I will release later on, which will be episode number 17, which nobody have seen yet. And it will be the enhancements that I'm making, because I haven't finished, to the game. So please follow the page on Facebook. It's where all my stuff goes there. It is like my blog. That's how I use the page. Also join the Phase 101 Facebook group and join the Commodore Dev Facebook group. Of course, Phase 101 is about Phase 101 only, and Commodore Dev is about Commodore, anything which is Commodore. As I mentioned, today we are here going to talk about the retro tracks, and there's the game jam. There is still 21 days, so I am still in time, thank God, to finish it. You are still, let's say, on time to participate if you're going to use BASIC. I think it's tough in assembly, unless you have part of it ready, but there are quite a number of people that are participating in this jam, and I'm surprised, actually. But yeah, thank you all those that are following, all those that are participating. Please, if you want to talk with me, or chat with me or ask me something, you can write to me on Facebook, but most of the time I take my time to reply there. So the best way is to come to Discord, okay? So please come to the Phase 101 Discord, okay? And normally I reply if you need. First of all, I welcome you, and secondly, I will reply if you need any help or something. I also have a Telegram group. It's new. It's still not mature enough. It's just 23 people online so far. On Telegram, I post things there and people say hello, etc. So it's still not so active, but I would like to make it active. So please join there. Some people maybe do not like Discord, so that's another way of getting in touch with me. Last but not least, I have Patreon and Coffee. Okay. I have to say one thing. I haven't updated them in the last week or week and a half, but I can assure you, I have a lot of videos to add. I do not. Let me try to show you how many there are to add. Let's see if I manage. Content. So I need to switch to here and make screen 2. I can assure you, okay, so let's go to the beginning because they are all at the top, basically, nearly. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 12 videos that I need to add. So when I was saying here in Patreon, you will unlock 68, you actually will unlock 12 more, so you will unlock 80. So yeah, some videos will never be on YouTube. Okay, so there's not all videos goes on YouTube. Only Patreons get access to them. But there is a mirror. Patreon and Coffee are the same, and yeah, basically, it's my way of saying thanks to all those that support me. I believe that's basically it, and I can switch to the screen. Hello, old school coder. Hello. For those that are here, I know I didn't advertise it, so I do not expect many people, but I see old school coder, so that's enough for me. I'm, as always, where is my... For those that are on the channel, I always give them points. So there you go. You get your points. So first of all, let me show you where I am with the game. Now, it's not really what the game shows is not really where I am because there are some things that are not enabled. But here is our game. The game right now it's not there. I mean, it is there, but it's not enabled. I can change the speed of the scroll. Of course, it can jump. Okay. And it can change the speed according to the scroll. Sorry, the jump according to the scroll. Actually, lots of things change when you according to the speed of the scroll. I'm trying to imitate as much as possible Google exclamation points, Oscar code. I'm trying to imitate as much as possible the Google Chrome, and I'm going to show you by what I mean by imitating it. Okay, so just trying to make it roughly same size. And so roughly, okay. The only thing that I do not like, but people told me to leave it. I do not like it, I have to say. You see the cactus, they are bigger than my dinosaur. Okay, so yeah, your points. So I was going to make them smaller, but in a way, because it's Amiga and you know you don't have the resolution of the PC, if you make them smaller, then I think they're going to lose their, let's say, you know, the game will be too small. As you see, I made the screen as big as what I have, and if I move the line next to it, you see pixels are quite bigger. I can make the dino bigger, but I will encounter other problems because that's already 32 width, and that means to use more, I will be wasting too many sprites. So, yeah, it's the only thing that I have different than the actual game. Of course, the lines are smaller here. They look smaller because the pixels are more finer. No, you cannot make it. Probably if I zoom it, let's see if it lets me to make it. You see, it still goes smaller. Even though I zoomed it, you see, it will still go smaller. But look, now the thickness of the line is the same, roughly. And yeah, that's what I was trying to achieve. Apart from that, what you mean you can stretch it in one direction? It will has to go upwards, and it has to be enlarged in the y and the x. If it's enlarged in the y, it will lose. I tried, to be honest. It didn't look right, the dino. But I am not a graphician. I mean, I do not know. I really copied what Google has. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. It's a compromise that I made in terms of the game. Let's put it this way. Anyway, but just to show you what I mean by speed. So I have an option. You see, although I am not changing the speed, I can increase the speed by calling this routine. Okay, and every time I call it, the speed increases. Right now I am somewhere easy mode. Okay, I have puppy mode also. I still left it to puppy for old school coder, pup mode. But it's in easy mode, the game like this. The default is pup, not easy. But I do not have the evil one neither. I only arrived till um, the hard. Yes. So, and according to this, the game changes. So if I increase the speed, I have a routine. I will explain the code in a minute, but just to show you, I have a routine. In game code, sorry. There you go. According to this, then I configure the game and it comes and do the changes. This is a routine that just updates anything according to uh, the game speed. So let me explain what I did so far. Remember, I'm using the code of the previous game that we did online, okay? So it's the same framework. I'm using the same framework. I did not write things from the beginning because there were many things already ready. But certain things I am modifying because it was a vertical uh, thing. I mean, the sprites moved up towards towards the top part of the screen, and this one, the sprites are moving from right to left. So certain things needed to be changed, and also we have a scroll which we didn't have in the previous game. So there are those things, but in terms of uh, the structure of sprites, the structure of how to handle the objects, the structure of um, the screens, etc. They are all basically from the previous one, just some modifications or tweaking, but still the same. So if you follow the previous series and the one that I am releasing today I released episode 15, and there's only one more episode, and I also released the code. So you have, for each episode, you have the code. You should be able to follow this very easy, even though I'm in episode 3 here. But the code is so similar that, and it's fully commented anyway. So you should not have problems because it's with this intention that when I what I do, I share it for others to learn. So first of all, before I start explaining code, I would like to achieve this. Okay, so I want to fix the jump. There's a problem with the jump, which I tell you it does work and it's not a thing, but the width is not right. So I want to fix that. This, depending on speed, we have a different jump. It's true. This I actually fixed, so I do not need to do. But it was still a few hours ago I had this. So this is what I wrote when after I finished from work, and then I started working on it, and I just fixed it. I want to add the HUD, so I'm more inclined to add the HUD, add the score, remove the lines that I have right now on the screen, basically comment them out and make sure that everything works. Make sure that the colors are the same like what Google has. And I want to fix the respawn values because right now I notice some defects, let's say, in the respawn. What I mean by that, sometimes the enemies, which I call enemies, the object against you, because the framework, that's what it calls them, enemies, are too close that when you finish your jump, there is not enough time for you to jump again. I noticed that and that is because of timing, which I need to fix. So that's where I am. Now, the game, okay, you're going to see lots of code that is commented. Okay, some of the comments are there. For example, like this is to explain this register here, what it means, what I am enabling, okay? But there are others that are commented out either because I wrote another version of the routine and I called the previous one old and I have a new one. And as we learned from the book, you know, you optimize after you write the routine. So I leave the one that I originally wrote and then I copy it, okay, and start optimizing it so that if I fail or if I doesn't work like the original one, I can always go back to the original and test with the original. And you'll see an example, one or two about that. So as always, on the Amiga, we need the startup file. It's the blessing of all blessings. To take control of the machine, you have to have such a file, which I covered in the book, and it is chapter 8 of the book. So the videos, I think it's about video number 25, which I think you have it already. You can check it out, what it does. But from last time when I did this stream, you can see that I added a lot of more include files with code. Last time I didn't have this much. To be honest, the music I can edit. I do have the music for the game. Remember, Google Chrome doesn't have music, but I think that is one exception that I'm going to make. I'm going to make music to it because it looks on the Amiga without music doesn't make sense, you know? With these few noises that it makes, Chrome is acceptable. I mean, the PC, it's okay if it doesn't make sound, but Amiga, if it doesn't make sound, it's an issue, I think. So I do have the music. The HUD I want to do today, okay? And then, of course, what remains is the game over and the intro, which I haven't included. This, I do have this fade in and fade out. I did not have these in the previous game, okay? Although in the final version that I will release, it will have this, the fade in and fade out. But I would like fade in and fade out to it also, because it on the Amiga it doesn't, you know, it's a gaming machine, so certain things needs to be there, okay? But yeah, and anyway, if we make it better than Chrome, I would be even more pleased. But I want to keep the style of Chrome, okay? So don't get me wrong. So we, as always, we have the initialization to make it AGA compatible. We have the initialization of the screen. Notice that this is for the music, it's commented out, but I just need to enable it. And also I can, this is for the fade in and fade out. So as you see, they are there, but I'm not using them, they are disabled. And same thing is for the intro screen. I do not have an intro screen right now, but the routines are there. Here we switch to our screen. Okay, so this is to take control and we see the game. This is when we see the game. There are some more stuff which is related to fade in, fade out. And then this is the main part of the game loop. Actually, the game loop is this part, okay? As you see, okay, there is not much remaining from the game loop, okay? This one, this routine, I want to improve it, but so I have a comment there to make it more friendly because I have other things in my head of what I want to do, but the rest is not. Also, remember, I do not like to have nested routines. So, okay, I have the main loop. Okay, you jump to one of these routines, but normally this routine will not jump to another routine or something like that. I do not like that. Uh, I because BSR on the Amiga is a lot of cycles. Um, Same like JSR on for the Commodore 64, but it's not that much. But BSR is a lot on the Amiga. And remember, there's a return. Return is 16, and BSR I think is 36 cycles. So if you have a lot of these, you'll be wasting a lot of cycles. So I try to avoid having. Sometimes I do go another 11. I'm not saying I never do, but it's very rare. Especially in the main game loop. I don't like it. So I didn't do one thing and I have to do it. So yeah, this is the game loop. We have, I have most of it there. Collisions is not there. I mean, I have the routines of collisions, as you see, but it's not enabled yet. I still need to do things. And of course, this is the end part, the game over, which is not there, but that's it. And then we have what the Amiga likes, things that needs to go in chipmem. So there you go. That's the main loop. So I have divided the directory of the game in three. Can you see it? Yeah, you can. In three categories, let's say that, which is one is game common, which is related to things related to the all, wherever you are in the game, there are routines that you will use. Game core, so these are routines that you will only use in the main game, okay, so in the main loop. And then game data. And game data, remember, I am indicating chip and public because of the Amiga. You need to say, okay, and this is the first part is to remind me where the data goes in chip mem or in public mem. For those that do not know or want to know what is chip and public, imagine the Commodore 64, for those that know it. Memory that is used by the VIC, the VIC sees banks. So the Amiga also sees like banks, but has a chunk of memory that it sees for its custom chips. And that is called chip mem. So like the VIC has got its bank, the custom chips of the Amiga has got the chip mem, what is called chip mem. And it is, for an A500, it is the first 512K. And then public mem, okay, can be any other type of RAM. So let's go with the common, okay? So constants is where I have all the constants, of course, and these are all constants related to the game, okay? It is, most of the constants are still the same like what we had in the previous game. The only thing is that I have states here, which I didn't have in the previous game. I didn't need them. It was only moving left or right, so there was no movement. And basically still the same. Actually, I removed some because the other one had depth meter and stuff like that, so I had to remove them, but the rest is still the same. The only thing that I edit is this, the states. Fade in, fade out. I have the routines, but I have not. They are not being used yet in the game. But this is to fade in and fade out, and these do a proper, because I've seen fade out and fade in and fade out of on the Amiga, but these do a real proper fade in and fade out of colors on the Amiga. In utils, I have the normal routines, like for example, wait for raster. Not enabled, but this we will use to print things on the screen. Okay, so this is the what we will use for the HUD. Okay, I have various random routines. The comments might not be right here. This is not really right. The second one is, the first one is not. But it's just me experimenting with random, and in fact I even have this routine, believe it or not. I wrote it for the Commodore 64 and then I converted it to the Amiga. And I got the idea from a book that I read. I'm trying to remember the name of it. The Home something it was called. I cannot remember the name. Home Computer something. I cannot remember. But yeah, and it was not even for the 6502, and I converted it for the 6502. And yeah. Here we have we will use this also, convert hex to decimal, okay? This is, that sets up our bit plane. So these are all common routines that we will use. Set colors, which I'm not using, and this is check joystick. This we will not really need it. I left it here just in case, but this was more used in the previous game than in this one. The only thing why I left it, notice that I can play music while I'm waiting for something to happen on the joystick. So that's why it is there, to be fair. And then I'm just going to make this one so you see it better. These are the variables. Sometimes you'll see in my code two labels for the same thing. It's because for the Amiga, okay, we can reference, if I want to reference all these, instead of using these labels, I can use this and then offset with the label name. And like that, it is quicker on the Amiga. So that's why I use that thing. For example, like here, okay, I have two labels, okay. This is the framework label, but this is what makes more sense for this game in this case. And same here. I can explain some of these because they are not in the game. Still here, they are all in the game, okay? So there is no, in the previous, I already explained them. All these variables are all explained in the previous game, so they remain the same. But here I have a pointer to the data structures of the sprites. Here I have the tables of the sprites. Remember, each sprite is 32, so 1 and 1. So remember, each sprite is 16, but I'm using one next to each other, so I have 16 to choose from. I have a structure, okay, and the structure is divided into these. I have these that are not used yet, and this is for, and because I don't want to be writing games and every time changing the code. So the code takes care of these. That's what I mean. So for example, if in this code I'm not using it, but if I want to use attach sprites, then I can use attach sprites and I can set this offset basically that I have attached sprites and things like that, instead of writing a routine or a routine for when you're having attached sprites. In this case, I'm not using this. This, for example, is when you have a sprite made of two sprites. But in this game, I do not need to use this. This is when I only want to collide with the sprite at one position, let's say, or from the front, let's say. But in this case, I want to collide anywhere, and I'm not going to use that. And anyway, it has all those features. And then I have one for expansion. These are, so I have here I have the blitter shifts. Okay, in reality, these shifts will change into where are they? Here. Okay, so whatever value I have here will set these registers with these values. Okay, so it's not really, so if I say scroll 8, it's not really I'm telling the blitter to scroll 8, but it needs to set these values. Okay, so speed 8, it select this value on blitcon 0 conf and last word mask that value, and then it does some other stuff which is further down, but that's what it means, these values. And because we have the blitter works on 16-bit, so I prefer, and the CPU is also 16-bit, so I prefer, instead of using byte, I prefer to using word, because the CPU takes the same amount of time to read 2 bytes or to read 1 byte. It takes the same amount of time, so I might as well leave it like that. It's not going to hurt me if I used 4 extra bytes. I mean, this game is what, not even taking 10K, I think, let alone. So yeah, I said this is where the scroll speed is set, and also this is of the line, okay, and this is of the, let's say, those dots that you see around under the line, because they are handled differently by the blitter. Because I wanted to save memory, so I separated them, and I have really tiny file. Because the game should, I wanted to make sure that the game fits in 512K, which will fit, of course, but yeah. As I explained here, I'm setting different settings for the blitter depending on the speed. You can see this is actually the nibble that says the scroll, okay, and this is the this is the channels that I'm using. So 9, you should know that it is channel A and channel D, and F0 you should know that, oops, F0 you should know that is min term, okay, FO, okay, and that means channel A equals channel D. And here is the last word mask, depending, to shift from right to left, then you start 7FFF means that the first bit is 0, okay? 3FFF means that the first 2 bits are 0, and it continues like that. Here I have the jump tables, okay? Now, I saw the one that Old School Coder did, and I have to say, he gave me his formula, but I'm not using his formula the way he is using it, because I want, I mean, today, hello Dockster, Today I am in position 160, let's say, on the screen, and tomorrow or later on in the game I am in position, I don't know, 10. Leave it that this game is always in the same position in the Y, okay? It's always at the same level. But I wanted the routine to be able to work from any position where I am on the screen. So basically I take not the position, but I take how much I need to change from the position of where I am. Okay. And the other thing, this is not always good, but I wanted to do this. Let's say I'm in jump table number 2. I have these values. This is going up. Once I reach the top, then it's going down. It's going to do them backwards. So it's not always the right thing, but you see I have a symmetrical jump, you know, it does this, okay? But sometimes maybe you want it to go up and then fall straight. I do not have, I cannot do it with what I have here. But in this case it works. So basically I'm saving space again, in a way, by having half. Instead from 0 to 180, I'm having from 0 to 90. And by how much I'm changing only. So then I have tables. So this jump table list points to this table, okay? And then here I'm calculating how much each one of them is long, okay? So then I know when I have read this one, okay, I know I need to start, I'm falling, you know? So first I'm jumping, these are the value for jumping. When I'm falling, I read them backwards. And I return back to where I was. So this table tells me the length of each one of those, and then I set the current jump table that I have, the current length, and the position where I am in one of these. So simple. This is the respawn table. I need to fix it a bit. This should not be 64, 32, 6, and 8, but should be a bit wider. We'll see later on in the game. And these are, so in the respawn, okay, when it spawns a sprite, okay, I have minimum and maximum. So minimum is, let's say, after how many frames it can spawn, and what is the maximum. So if let's say I get a random value of 10, then that is not okay, because it will be less than minimum. And well, in this case it's not, but let's say we get 5, and then I need to get another random value. But max, also I'm checking that the value is not above one of these. So I populate, depending on the speed that we are, I populate these two depending on this. That's basically it for game common enemies. So these are the same routines that I had before in the previous game, and I'm just going to show one thing. This is the one that we had in the previous game, and look, I renamed it _old, and I commented it out, but it's still the same one. What I did is I optimized a bit this. The rest is still the same. And why I had to optimize it? Because I felt I wanted to. Let's say that it's not, there was no need to optimize it, but I felt I wanted to. Also, I added that it does, because our Dino is 32, is 2 sprites, so 16 and 16. So it handles the first sprite and second sprite of the dino. So sorry, not the dino, the enemies, because this is for handling the enemies. The enemies are also 32 pixels wide, and they are made of two sprites. But sometimes the sprite is not used. Okay, so sometimes they are 16 wide and sometimes they are 32. But because of that, I am handling both of them. Okay, so if the second sprite is not used, then I set values of zeros. And notice these are using that structure that I have. So basically, I'm not really updating the sprite, I'm updating the structure, and the structure then updates the sprites. Because I have another routine here that updates the sprites, which is the same routine. This I didn't change. This is the same routine that we had in the previous game. Okay, this goes through the structure and updates the sprites on the screen according to the structure. Now, why I did this also is because thanks to I cannot remember the name right now. He's on one of my Patreons. He wrote a game based on my code that can handle he can multiplex the sprites. My code doesn't handle it, but the structure does. So what I need to do is improve this code to handle the how to have sprite multiplexing basically. And I didn't do it because it was the first game and I was showing you what you needed to do. But this is still the same. The update hasn't changed. The only thing sorry, the update is down here. Is this one. And the only thing I improved is the update of the structure. And you see, I call the structure table, and I am everything that I'm doing, I'm updating the structure here, nothing else. I don't believe I have the rest is commented out. For example, here once we have game over, we will need to reset the sprites. It will be the same routine that we had before, to be honest. So here we have the same routine to move sprites across the screen. This is universal. It doesn't change. It can handle the sprite anywhere and it can handle anyway. So this remains the same, the move sprite. The init respawn timer remains the same. I didn't change anything. Still same same loop. The values of these change, which I showed you in the table, but yes. The update respawn is still the same as in the previous game, and for those that do not remember, compare how it works. I still have my comments. Okay. For there are some difference maybe from the Amiga to the 64 account, but the unsigned ones, because the Amiga has a lot more. But you have them even in the previous in the previous game. And this is what I was telling you. Remember, I told you sometimes I have more than one label. So look, I have vars. So this is the index, the main index, where I start. And then all I do, the start. And then all I do is move the offset from where that memory location is. This is something, it's very, very handy on the Amiga. It's a very, very handy addressing mode using address. And then this is what I added, the increase speed. Okay, this I can increase the speed, and this is what happens to the scroll routine. So not much. I only added the true thing that I coded is these two, and I updated the main routines of the sprites. I tell you, where I really spend time on this game is the graphics. I am being so picky and trying to be so exact, like what there is in Chrome, that I wasted so much time because first of all, the graphics are very big. To make them small, even if you shrink them, you lose so much. So I ended up shrinking them and then going pixel by pixel, okay, to make them look as similar as much as to what I have. So init game is still the same. We just set the screens, nothing changed. HUD, I haven't done anything with the HUD. I haven't even used it. So I will need, once we start using it today, I will need to comment most of the code here. But yeah. Player. So the movement of player. So here we have the initialization of the sprites. Before we only had the first one, okay, but now we have two because the player is made of two sprites. So there's the other one, but it's still the same. The joystick routine is different, of course, because it's not left and right. We only have jump. And to be fair, I'm thinking of making it work with the mouse. Right now it's working with the joystick, but I think it should work with the mouse. It's the only routine that really changed, and it handles the jump and fall states. The animation is still the same routine as the previous game, and then collision is commented out, and the copying is also the same. The only thing is I do two copies of the data to the sprite structure because each sprite is 32 pixels wide. So I was thinking, okay, about this, whether I should have a table that points to the sprite structures and then populate the data for the sprites by doing the copy. So it's the chicken and egg basically. So if I use this method, I have less sprite structures to handle. I only have 6 to handle, and then just copy the data, change the data in them. I could have all the sprites, let's say I have 16 in this case, okay? So 16 sprite structures. However, it is easier to change from one to the other, okay? So from that point of view, I do not need to do this copying stuff in between. So from that, it is easier. However, when you have a lot of sprites, you will be wasting a lot, I think, and hence why I went for this option. But this option has got one flaw, okay? The sprite's height cannot vary for the same pair of sprites. That's the flaw that I have in it. So I might need to rethink about it. But for now, for this game, it's fine. Because remember, you need to tell the Amiga how high the sprite is. Anyway. And then the part that is liked a lot by Dockster. Dockster loves a lot this part, is the blitter part, is the scroll part. It's really simple. This is what scrolls the screen. That's all it does. It scrolls. What you see, what it does is scrolls. And you can see the setup is very easy. It's very easy. There's no, I'm not passing any parameters. It knows this is the screen. Okay. I can improve it by having this as parameter, but for this game it doesn't matter. But the rest remains the same. It's going to scroll 42 pixels, 42 bytes wide screen. Not like the Commodore 64 that has 40. We have 42 because we the blitter is 16, works on 16 pixels, and you need to add 16 to the width of the screen. And notice, so I showed you, this is the first version that I did, and it doesn't change by much. Okay, and this is the second version that I did. And what it has, it does, I'm passing the speed. So it's the same thing. So notice this has been, sorry, this has been replaced by this. And only the first word. Okay, so this part remains the same. And that's all. So that's the change. And as I told you, I have the habit of leaving the old routine there, adding old, and then copying it and then modifying that, just in case I screw it up. I mean, not in this case, it's too simple, but when it's complex, it's good to do that. And here is when I'm printing the tile. So when I say by tile, this is the line that you see. Okay, it just selects one from I think I have 5 patterns. Selects one from those 5 patterns, and then it blits it. It just puts it in the hidden area which is outside of the screen, so that this routine that we saw earlier can grab it and scroll it. It's still blitter, and this is a normal copy by the blitter. So here we have a copy, and here we have a scroll. Up there where I said scroll, it's still the same. And if you see, few things change, okay, which are these two. These two change. In here you have to change this, but that's why I told you I should be making this as parameters too, but I didn't do them for this game. For next game I will improve them, and for now I'm going to leave them as they are. And like I have for the line, because this is actually, when I say tile is doing the line, I have for the dots, and it's a copy of, I mean, it's doing the same. It takes one of the tiles and just copies it to the screen, to the hidden part of the screen, and then the routine that scrolls it, and it's done. What is it? Every 16 pixels, every time that the screen moves 16 pixels, it's done, basically. That's all. Then the data. I mean, the copy list, which today I will modify just to remove stuff. This is what I'm including. Okay, you can see that I have the music. I'm still referring to the old one, but the music is there. I can maybe make you hear it. It's not ready yet. I can make you listen to it. Let me see. T-Rex. Music. Yeah. Let's see. That's the music. It's not ready and it changes quite a bit. I'm waiting for the part where it becomes fast. Remember how long it is. Oh. Well, enjoy it and I continue to talk in the meantime. Can you hear me in the meantime? Because the game is repetitive, you need a long track. You cannot have a short track. As it will annoy you in the head. And then these are the sprite structures, okay? 6 of them, as you know. The first 4 bytes indicate certain things for the Amiga. Vertical position. Actually, that's wrong. I did not update the comments. So, one is the vertical position, one is the horizontal position, one is the where it stops, so the height, and then the special bits. It's copy and paste. That's what's happening with copy and paste, but I will sort it out. Good that I noticed it. And I have 6 of them. So as you can see, I have sprite data and SPR0. Okay, and I can also say it SPR0_V start because sometimes you need to manipulate this. But see it changed the music. So that's the sprites. And notice here, because I was experimenting, I have the full sprite data. Okay? While here I just needed a block of empties, of zeros. But here I was experimenting, so eventually I will remove that. And then the last bit is the actual data. So here, now that we have all the sprites data, and I have quite a bit, because I copied all what Chrome has. This is the fast part. It's not complete yet. But yeah, that's the fun part of it. So yeah, here are, I don't know how many sprites I have, but I have a lot. I have them all. It's not, they are not, although I have them all, so what Google has, I have it. And that's why I took time, because I converted everything. I don't think I needed to convert everything, but I did it. And the graphics took I really wasted a lot of time on the graphics, which doesn't make it better than what old school coder have, but I just wanted one like Google, so yeah. Anyway, so let's do some coding now. Let me check what I have open, because I don't need everything open. So this we can close. This we can close. We are not going to work on this. We need this. We need this. We need this. We don't need. Yeah, I think those are what we need. By the way, for those that are on the Amiga and use the same extension like me, because you're going to ask me this, so I better tell you, okay? I am not using the standard extension. I modified the extension. I sent it to Paul to see it. He still hasn't seen the new version of it that I submitted to him. But in the extension there is a flaw. Not flaw. When the extension was being built, they didn't try to have all the machines. But one thing that was annoying or bugging me is that the Amiga 500 only has OCS chipset. Okay, the default of the extension was A500 with ECS chipset. That doesn't exist. Now A500 is ECS. It's only OCS. The A500 Plus is ECS, but not the 500 with Kickstart 1.3. So I changed these. So I added the A500 OCS. I added the A500 debug mode OCS. I added the A600 in debug and normal in ECS mode. And I added the A1200, which doesn't exist unless you use FSUAE, okay, which is always here. These are the two defaults that there are in the extension for AGA. I submitted all this to Paul for the extension to get updated. But anyway, it's when he does it, he does it. He said he doesn't have time. He replied to me and said he doesn't have time. Also, I changed the way it debugs it. I mean, when I run the debugger, I changed a bit some stuff. So before, when it starts the debugger, it asks to press F5. I removed that. I wanted to go immediately to my breakpoint. So I removed that option, basically. I did something else to the extension, but I cannot remember right now. This is the major part that I did. Can't remember what else I did. If I look at the email, I will remember because I have a very long email to him. But yeah, so I did. Hopefully, when Paul updates the extension, you will be having these options in the extension. Okay, so first thing is, let's see what I have. So here, what did I say I'm going to do? Okay, so I'm going to start with this because this is the easy one. Remove the lines. So right now, I press F5 and you see the game. So as you notice, I'm going to click here. Notice that I am running, sorry, the game went on the side, but when it's running, okay, what I have selected is a 500 OCS, but I can run the game in all these modes now. Before I did not have that option. And I'm noticing I have something that I should switch off, which is the Amiga. Should not see that. Okay, so what I am talking, I'm going to remove these lines now. Okay, they were there as an indicator for me, and I will remove them. So let's go to the copper. I better move it on this side for you guys to see. So to be honest, I'm not going to remove it 100%, but I am going to, so you can see these are the lines, okay? And I'm saying at which line I'm doing it for my own. So it turns blue the line and then there's white, blue, white, sorry, pink, white, and blue, white. Remember, this is an important line in the copper. This is when you tell the copper, hey, I'm using 256 lines, so not NTSC. So once you reach FF on the Y direction, you have to wait and then start again from 0, basically. For those that forgot how to tell the Amiga that you have a pulse screen. So now if we run it, we should not see those lines anymore. We might still need them, that's why I didn't delete them, because they are indicators. There you go. So now let's change the colors. And that's going to be also easy, at least I hope, because I should use just these. FF. Where is black? Where is 180? So that is for the background. Yeah, color 1. Okay, so it should be like this. So this should be 88. Let's see. We'll do it on 1. Or we can do it on 1, to be honest. This should be 0. And this should be FF. Yeah, I think that's how it is. Let's see. The opposite way around. Okay. So, where did I put 88? This should be 88. And this should be FF, I assume. Let's run it again. I'm not liking it though. That's not exactly what I want. So the outline should be white, because for some reason Google has white. So this should be white. I'm going to leave this 0. Let's see what will change. Hold on. Hold on. It's white for 4 and 8, 8. White for 4. That's what I have wrong. For 4 and 8, 8. There you go. And you should see a white line when you pass. Okay. So let's do them all the same. The truth is, they look too similar. Let's do AA. Because I'm not yet happy. The thing is, I tried to use the Google color and oops. Come on. You see, I'm only seeing one color and then the white around it, but I should see gray. I should see gray. Let me see how it is exactly on Google. Chrome, colon, slash Dino. And let him crash. Oh, I need to make it small. That's how they are. They do not have a line. Yeah, they don't have a line. Okay, so then that's the way they are. Let's do them like that for now, and then we'll see. I think some of them will need some touching. So let's run it. Let's see. Okay, looks like Google, at least from the colors, but on the Amiga they look crap. These are okay, I have to say, but when there are 3, they don't look so cool. There. That doesn't look right. The middle one. So I need to sort that out somehow. Yes, there is a white border around the tracks. Same like Google. You see, look, you can see it now. Because it's a single color game. So that's what they did to distinguish. But that I need to fix. But it's a graphic thing, so I will not bore you with that. But anyway, the colors seems to be right. I will fix the graphics. So, my God, I'm surprised, guys. You're really surprising me tonight. I didn't announce that I'm going to stream, nothing, and you're still here. So thank you very much for being here. Um, uh, I do not know what to say, but yeah, thank you. So that is done, but I have to add. That's for me. 08. Adjust sprites. And 3 cactus, no? Because those are the ones that are really suffering. This I want to fix. I want to sort this out. I think it's one of those things that I should do. Is the respawn. So what do I mean by what the issue is with the respawn? So let's try to play it. Although there's no collision. Okay, so that's the thing. Sometimes the next look between these there is not enough space. Yeah, I managed to do it, but I think it is too, they are too close. Okay, so there has to be more space between one. You see here, that's very close. Anyway, I'm crap at playing it, you know, so that like that is impossible. See, when they were too close to each other. So I need to adjust the spawn. So how did I do this spawn? That is in var table. So evil mode. In a way that is evil mode because you can never pass that, no matter what is the speed of the scroll. So we are in mode, I forgot which one we are, which ones, how many I have. Okay, we are in easy mode. So where did I put the const? Did I close it? No, it's here. Okay, so in easy mode, the blitter scrolls 2 pixels, okay? The scroll is by 2 pixels. So my jump, the width of my jump is 64, okay? I realized I made a mistake in the jump width, okay? Because if the sprite is 32 pixels wide, okay? And the enemy, you know, the cactus is also 32 pixels wide, that is 64 by themselves. So my width is wrong. Right now I'm going to leave it. The width of the jump has nothing to do, okay? The width of the jump is short, so I need to make it wider. But besides that, I need to make besides that, I need to also adjust the spawn, how often they appear. Now, for the easy mode, I have 32. That means the next one, okay, let's say we have a cactus now. The next one, the minimum, can appear after not 32 frames, but 64 frames, because this is times 2. Remember, the blitter is scrolling, is scrolling 2 pixels. So here it's twice as much. But 64 is too short. Okay, so the next one, okay, 64 plus 16, no, that is, oh my god, I cannot make it like now. I need the calculator, believe it or not, is 80. Okay, so this I'm going to make it 40. Okay, the 1 to 8 I think is still okay, because times 2 is 256. That's the maximum that I can have, so it's fine. Same for this one. Okay, this should be 80 now. This is when I'm scrolling 1 pixel at a time. No, it's not cheating. It doesn't, you cannot. Use the yeah. I have a this is my, I know I have the calculator, but sometimes I just tum 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 and have it there instead of starting it and doing all this stuff. So yeah, it's solar, so it's always on. So yeah. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so this one is 80. Oh, thanks for following. Things on your mind. So the first one is 80. The second one, I said 30, but it should be 40, no? I mean, half of 80 is 40. Come on. This one is 60, is 20. And this one is 10. So now we should not see them so close. Let's see. The jump will not vary. That is something that I will not do on stream. By the way, for the jump, okay, I didn't tell you. For the jump, I wrote a small C sharp, I mean, small utility that you give it the, the formula, and gives me various options for, you see, now you can jump between one and the other. That's difficult still, in my opinion. Let me see. No, you can do it. Come on. Only me cannot do it. Mamma mia. But normal people will do it, will be able to do it. I think. Gamers will be able to do it. Only FaZe is not able to do it. So yeah, I wrote a small C sharp, I mean, Windows forms or whatever you call it, program that you enter the formula and gives me the values. It's still crude, that's why I'm not sharing it, but eventually I will share it. Anyway, I will use it in so many other games, I guess, so. And it doesn't matter if it's 64 or Amiga, we'll still do it. Yeah, anyway, Old School Coder, I'm beating you. I'm all very good, you see? Very good, very, very good. Oh. Anyway. So. That's not bad. Yeah. That's because I don't have any collision detection. Long, not much. I didn't spend. I can look. I can show you actually why I'm thinking about it. I can show you because I document it. This is when I started, 21st of July. Okay, and these are the days that I worked on it. That is, you can see between 21st and 24, I didn't do anything. So I worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. With today is 10 days. That I mean, not 10 days full. Don't think I started this morning. It's only, no, today I started at around 5. But not every day I started at around 5. But that's what I did. However, things on your mind. Just know that this game is based on a framework that I did in the previous game. So I'm using lots of routines that I have from the previous game. If you go on my YouTube, let me show you. There is also, I share the code also, okay? So it's not, you can use the code and do whatever you like. There's this, let's make an Amiga game. Today I released episode 15, okay? Is this one. All these will show you how to write an Amiga game, basically. So, I think the respawn is done. So, and removing the lines is done. Now, and this I did it before the stream, so that's done too. So that's where I cheated actually, because that I did it before the stream. So let's add the HUD. Let's see. So the HUD, I have not included it in the game. So here it's commented out. And now I'm going to comment everything for now, and then enable only what I need, bit by bit. Things of your mind. As you can see, these are routines that we did for the previous game. For now, I'm going to comment them out. Most of them will remain the same. And then we'll start, some of them will also be eliminated, like this one. I'm pretty sure I will eliminate it. But for now, it's commented out. And like this one, for example. So we also need public data. And somewhere we have the HUD here. Now, as you can see, I have too much of a HUD. Okay. This I will leave. We will have high score. Come on, it should have high score, and we will have score. We don't need these. And what shall we call it? I haven't thought of what I'm going to call the game, but I said retro tracks. No. Now, to be fair, this is line 1, line 2. That's what they mean. These numbers is print this at line 1, print this at line 2. So we will need to sort a bit this. So we need our print routine that will print the HUD text. So let's go back to HUD, and somewhere we have a print routine. Maybe it's in the comment, because the print routine is common to everything. So that is in common, and it's in utils, I believe. Yeah, it must be here. Yeah. So this is our routine that prints to the screen, that write text to the screen. Okay, so let's uncomment it out. And it should read the HUD and print it to the screen. Now, because of the format of the previous game, it will not, it will print it, but it will overwrite stuff. Actually, let's run it, I mean, to see what it will do. Unless I deleted something that will not make sense to it, it should work. So there you go. What I'm missing. In line 61, HUD.s, cannot find it. So, of course, yeah. HUD is in game core. Okay, so game, and that should be not source, but game core. That's the directory. Okay, what else do we have? Ah, it needs the screen bit planes. Okay, yeah, that I should have thought about. So that's in game core. Sorry, in utils we said it is. So it's not game screen bit planes, but what did we name them? Because I changed a bit the stuff. So data. There you go, screen bit planes. I'm making a mistake actually using DCB. It should be BCC, but for now leave it like that. I'm just going to make a note of it, that it needs to be changed, because that is wasting space on the floppy. Oh, 9 screen bit plane, use BCC, BSS, sorry. And we continue. So let's see. It's going to print it vertically, okay? Because that's how it was in the previous game. But we should see it. How can we see it? We do not enable it in the main loop. It's not going to call it, of course. So in the main loop, we have print info, update HUD. Let's do print info. No, let's do print info the first time, initialization. Yeah. Because we don't need to print it each time on the screen yet. Oh my God. Oh my God. What have we done? Of course, the other one was vertical. What did I say? So the screen didn't start at position 0, but started at position column, because we're talking in text now, in column 30. Remember, the Amiga doesn't have text mode. It's always bit planes. But when you print to the screen, you divide it into squares and then you print to it. And that's what we did. So let's find the utils again. And now we need to change some stuff here. So we had an offset, which we do not need. I remember we had an offset because of the way the screen was. There you go, start row offset. That, what have we set it to? Because I still have that. So that's one of the constants. Start row offset. You see, we started at 31. No, we need to make it let's have it 0 for now. And let's see what's going to happen. I think we'll still have an issue because, yeah, I think we'll still have an issue because of the way we are writing to the screen. Yeah. So it's writing, but as you can see, it's like shifting the characters. If you notice, I mean, can you see these are zeros? And here we have the rest of the zeros. And it continues like that. That's because of the way we are writing to the screen. So let's get one line working. Where did I have it? The chip data. Sorry. Public data. Okay, so let's eliminate all this. But we need the FF at the bottom. That's important. So, and I'm going to eliminate even this one. So in line 0, let's try to write retro. In line 1, let's try to write retro. Sorry, because that's what it says, line 1. So let's go back to the print routine, which is in game core. Sorry, in utils. My God. Let's move them one next to each other so like that I do not mix them. Yeah. So we clear it. We read the first character. Here we read the screen bit planes. Next car row. Yeah, that's where we need to be. So that's correct, multiply. And we do not need to add any offset. So because the offset is 0, so for now it's fine. Then we read the characters. First we read the line, because that's what it means. So this is in which line we are going to print. This is what we need to print, and this tells it that it's end of line. Okay, this is how I did my routine. FF means that there is no more text to write, so that's why I need that FF there. So what else I need to modify? These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that's correct. Here I'm checking for the line types. Now let's run it. I think just like that I'm going to understand better where I need to change. Okay, so for some reason it went like this. 0 should be really somewhere here. Add next character row. Next character row. Oh, hold on. How is that calculated? Because the other one was different. So the screen. So I think we have a problem here. Line numbers. How much is a line? Screen width all over 8. Now screen width is 320. That makes it 40. I'm just going to check my copy list to see how I set up the screen, because I forgot. So to C81 to C1. Okay. Do I have... There you go. That's my issue. I have a modulo of 2. So I need to compensate that by... Where is it? I need to compensate for it. That means I have not 320, 320 plus 16. That is correct, that is correct. Okay, let's try. That's why it is shifting, because the modulo is not 0, because I'm doing a scroll. I still have the shift. So Of course. Now this needs to be 42 because the screen width is 42. And I think there's another one that we need to change somewhere. Let's see how it looks. Hey, guys, come on. Finally. There you go. We got our first part of the HUD. So let's see what I have in terms of, so these now should print, okay, should print properly. Now they are going to be vertical, but we will arrange them, okay? For now, I just want to see them on the screen. That should remain, it can be like that. Okay. That is core, and this is high score. Let's leave the credits out for now. Okay, retroflex score, but I have the high score is not there, so I have a problem where this high score is. So where the high score is, what issue do I have? Oh, that's impossible. That's where the blitter is working. No, no, you cannot be there. Let's do 10, 11, and now you should see it. Yeah, there you go. So we will need to move them now. They are vertical, but we will make them horizontal. So um, how shall we organize them? Any ideas? So retro tracks should be one word on top, no? I'm still not happy with this title, but for now, let's do that. And I do not need that. So I think what we can do, I'm just going to use line 0, let's continue with line 5. Let's do that. But this now, that should be line 6. Okay. So till here is fine. But then it's the high score. The high score should be next to it, no? So no, We have spare sprites, can have both of them on the same time. No need for split screen. Well, I do not know how you're going to have two players unless you split. I mean, split screen is not the right term, because on the Amiga it doesn't. You're not splitting the screen, but on the Commodore 64 you split the screen. I can have the same screen scrolled more than once, copied. I don't know how to explain it, but what I have in the bottom, I can mirror it on top, basically, and that's it. And it's just blit copy. That's what it is, blit copy. And it's what I have at the bottom, it goes on top of the screen. So I don't even need to run the routines for both players. You know, I only have player 1 and player 1 and 2 routine, but the code, I only run it once and then copy it. No, don't worry, it's good that you are mentioning it. So we have score. I can't remember how long these are. I think they are 8. And I know that my routine can handle till 10 digits maximum. So I'm thinking of how to organize the screen. That's my dilemma right now. So this one. I mean, organize the HUD. I mean, oops. But it should not be, this needs to go away. And this needs to go away. And we have 40, right? So let's say I leave 5. For now, I'm just so actually I do not need to leave 5 here. I can make an offset of 5. That's why I have this offset 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then in the same line, so I do not need in line 6. In line 6, this we don't need. Skip that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But it's better if they are here, the 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I remove this. Yeah. I remove all this. Leave the high score digits there. And that I have a line. That should, let's see how they look. They should start from position 5 according to my offset, and let's see if they are, I have just 2 lines. Well, we have the title and then 2 lines. Okay, they are not under exactly under the thing, but they are there. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. So this should remove 3, 2, 3. And now these do not need to be, I need them like Google now. They're quite close. So this should be like line 15. Probably 15 times 8 is how much? 15 times 8? 120. It should be fine because I cannot go below 150. Yeah. And this should be line 16. Let's see. Yeah. It's a bit too low, I think. No? And also I need to change the offset is 5. We can make it 10, no? Because 10, 10, and 10, yeah, it should be fine. Let's make it 10, the offset. So it's bit nearly in the middle, and then we adjust. And I think it's too low. So this, let's put it 10 and 11. For now, it will do. Yeah. And now let's center retro tracks now. It's okay. Not exactly what I want, but it's okay. It's starting to look what I want. The thing is that again, I'm going to run it. Chrome colon Dino. There's only the high score, and the score is at the far end. I do not like it. Oh my god, what did I do? Everything vanished. All windows minimized. Okay. Where did the browser go? So I do not like it like this. It doesn't look right, no? I mean, I don't know you guys. Okay, it's Google and I want to do it like, but it's the game that I want to do, not the layout is very crappy. What do you think? This is not really nice. And the font, I prefer my font. It's more Amiga style. Come on. It has to be. Yeah, so although I want the Google style, and you know what? I told you I have the fade in, fade out routines. I I included them because I see it like I start like Google and then I changed into full color mode. But yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, you know, it's you just have this counter here. Look, you see, you have this counter here increasing and it's not score. Okay, it's nothing And when you hear that beep, it means you get faster. But there you go. But that's the thing. It's not really okay. I want it to color like it is, but I want it to look also nice, no? Yeah. Old school coder. You have web browser, type Chrome colon // Dino, and you'll get all. Beep beep beep. I don't think you try to run the game, eh? I don't think you try to run T-Rex. I don't think you try to run the Google one. So, let's center T-Rex for now. So, that is 10, 8, 9, 10. And it should be able to do it. Ah, looking now. You cannot imagine how many times I ran it. So, oh, I did it too much. Okay, it's not 10, it's, yeah, because I'm offset of 10 already. It should be 5, I think. Yeah, okay, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm just filling the screen right now when it's one player, but it can really become two player. It's easily done two player. So unlike the Commodore 64, that what you have at the bottom, you need to copy it to the top or have the same routines. Because I have the blitter, I just need to tell the blitter, okay, take the square on the screen and plot it up here, and it will be the same thing. That's it. So, yeah, okay. So now we have the HUD working. I mean, for now, it's just I want to have the high score and high score. Well, my friend, it's never too late. You can start. 68,000 is fun, honestly. The instruction set of the 68,000 is so cool. It's very, very good. Compared to the x86, the 68,000 instruction set is so advanced. It's a shame they don't do it anymore. Yes, in the test, yeah, old school coder, you can find a beep. Yes, definitely. So we have the HUD. We need to somehow add some score. Now, I forgot what I did at the score for my routines in the previous game. So I need to remember that. And this, I'm not going to leave it line 1. I'm going to do it 5. So it looks better, I think. Yeah, I think it looks better where it is. because I have this space empty down here, and roughly I'm leaving the same empty up here, no? So, but all this can shift down here. This is why I didn't want the jump to be, let's say 160, then goes 159, 158. But I want it to be with her because I can move wherever I want the player. Let me remember where I did. So I think in the update, yeah, I think in the update, let's see in the player. Not here. No, in the enemies. When they vanish, I give you points. So I'm not doing it like Google. Google is giving points, is give per frame. I am not giving points per frame here. Now I remember. I'm giving points per enemy that you avoid. In my case, in this case, it's cactus. Every time you avoid a cactus, you get points. So, how shall I do it? What we can do I have a counter? I should have the print, the update. Let's try the update. It will not work as numbers, but at least it will update the number. So the score, let's say, see it updating, but not updating correctly. It will update with random numbers. It's just that I want to have that enabled. So the way Google, did you see how Google does it? Google does it by giving you points per frame, or I don't know, but that's what it does. It's you have a discounter here, and it's constantly updating. You see, there's nothing, and it's still giving you points. So as time passes, and then when it becomes faster, the points increase. Actually, the game increases every time you reach 100. So now when I reached 100, it already, if I reach 300, which I doubt, it should increase in speed. You see, it did the it did the beep. Oh, 400, you see? So that's how it's doing it. Oops. Anyway, that's how it does it. But I do not like that system. I mean, there's no a Terra I did not understand. Oh my god, the Terra Dactyl? Ah, the dinosaur, um, in Italian they say pipistrello. It's not a pipistrello, but yeah. So, how shall I do? Let's do the print. Let's do the update. I have a routine that updates the numbers. So let's make sure that that is working. And then I think of how to update the score. Because I do not like that system though. What do you think? I mean, guys, what do you think? Do you think it's a good system having the timer running? I prefer if I get points if I avoid something, not just having nothing on the screen and I'm still getting points. Let me find the routine. It's in utils, I think. No, that is not in utils because that is not a common one. We will need this. Convert hex to decimal. Yes, we will need that. So I should have a routine that prints text, the numbers onto the screen. So let's find the routine that prints the scores or updates the scores. So if I do, yeah, actually I should be able to, I should have one called update. So that is, it's called update HUD because it is in the game.s. So this one, I need this routine. So I need to find that routine. Update HUD. There you go. Update HUD. But update HUD is doing update score, which we need. Let's leave update high, check high score and update high score for now. Let's let it do that. And let's see update score. So now we will need, so score is there, that is there. So convert to hex, we have it, and score in HUD, we have it. Yeah, I have them too. You cannot do much without them. You need them, let's put them, well, they are online nowadays, but yes. So update HUD, update score, and I'm pretty sure it will need something else. Let's run. There's another variable that it needs. I need to enable it. Oh, I enabled them all. Yeah, but we will see nothing on the screen because there's no update to the score, I assume. Yeah. So we need to update the score, and that happens when enemies, it's this one, enemy points. So I'm giving points. Let's use the same system that I had before for the previous game, and then I change it. For now, I just want the counters to work. Points per enemy is 10. So every time I manage to jump or pass an enemy, I get 10 points. Okay, so where was the points per enemy? And then move the 0 to score. Okay, let's see. Let's see if it's going to work. Yeah, in this case, yes, but the floor is scrolled by the blitter. So let's see if we get 10. Oh, nothing happened on the screen. Because, of course, did we enable the update? We need to enable it, no? In the game loop, we did not enable it. This one, update HUD, is not there. So, no, I'm changing the bitmap, but I'm using the blitter. So it happens off screen, you don't see it. And then you scroll it. So somewhere where you see the line coming in, okay? The screen is wider, no? So I'm updating there, basically. And for this core, where this core is, I'm just updating where this core is, you know? Well, when the routine works, because right now it's not working, as you can see, it's not updating. So I'm missing something, but yes. Yes, Bishop, yeah, it's assembly for the Amiga. So why it did not update? I must be missing something. If we move, for now, I'm just going to pass a number, okay? Instead of, and let's see if it prints it. Just going to copy it. And let's move 10 into the 0. Let's see if it gets printed. Oh, thank you, Bishop, for the follow. Thank you very much. No, it should have done it. So I'm missing something here. So if that is, I move 10 into the 0, I convert it into decimal. So why it's not printing it when it should print it at the location? So let's find HUD. Am I missing the label or something like that? Ah, oh well. You can lurk as much as you want. I mean, I don't mind. It's if you like the Amiga, as I was saying, Friday and Sunday is Amiga time. Tuesday is Commodore 64. Always assembly, okay? It's well, sometimes I do basic, but it's more assembly. So we should have this should be printing it. Score digits. That's the destination. So where is score digits in our HUD? So public data, score digits. Yeah, it should write it there. And we are calling it, right? We are calling it. Yes, update HUD, it is there. You see from the main game loop, what remains is collision. Of course, update the level and print some info. But the main, as the main game loop is done. So why is this not printing when I pass the value? What I'm missing? It should print at this location. And it should print this string. Okay, let's write what I have at this location. So source is where we have the string. So let's find where this string is of the numbers. And that should be in my variables table. and should be somewhere here. Points per enemy points. But where is the decimal string? There is decimal string. Okay, instead of having tens of zeros, let's put some values there in hex. So not in hex, in ASCII they need to be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's put that. But it needs to be 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 0. No, nothing. Let's see. Because it's defined constant block. Okay, so let me do one thing, because let's leave it like that. And let's see if it prints it. Still nothing. That's not right. So it's not picking up the value for some reason. That should be 10.0 though. SIRIS Guru. Still the same. It's not arriving till the HUD. So debug mode. So we are in debug mode now. Yeah. And let's set some breakpoints. So this goes and update the string, but doesn't print it. Hold on. I must be missing another routine. It's going to update this core, and I said it's 10, this core. It's going to convert it to decimal. And then, okay, let's see. Debug mode. There we go, it stopped already. So, D0. Let's see what happens to D0. Okay. Now we convert it to hex. We can skip that and see what happens to this string. Yeah. So Now I need to do this. That is called decimal string. Let's see. So we should see something written here instead of these numbers, okay? Okay. But I think we have not what I want. I am only seeing 30. 30 in hex is what? Hex table, ASCII table. So 30. Ah, 30 is 0. So I have zeros here. Look. Actually showing me here in hex. We have zeros there. So how come it is zeros when we have 10? Where do I have 10? Oh, yes. Thank you. Sourcey. My God, thank you. I forgot that my string is 10 characters long, not 8. Okay, that's cool. So, I know why. Look what the loop does. The first 7. Okay, I found what the issue is, I think. Tin, tin, tin. Let's remove this. We do not need that. We need to leave that there. Also, we need... So, my string is 10 characters long. So, had... I don't think it is. No. One, two. And let's do 1, 2. I mean, for now, I can modify this. Ah, good night, Gyro Gear. So, now we go back to the routine. Utils. And not utils in hard, no? Yeah. We can remove these breakpoints and we can stop it. And we can move back to no, not debug mode. But the loop is only 7 when we have 10. So, in fact, I should have read this comment. How many digits I want to print? Number of digits. So, that should be 9. 9 to 0 is 10 digits. So, let's see. Still, It's not showing on the screen. And this is the update. Hold on. So we updated the score. Are we printing it to the screen? No, because we are printing not in the game loop. We just printed it up here. Now we need it in the game loop. There you go. One is update and the other one is print. Thought I was missing something. I should see 10 now. There you go, 10. Okay. So now let's remove what we had done here. And let's see if the score increments every time we avoid the cactus. In our case, I have no collision detection, so it will constantly be avoiding it. Let's see if it will increment. Only when it vanishes. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. And this should be double. Yes. So when a cactus is double, is 32 pixels wide, then you get twice. Yeah. Anyway. No, not always. No, what I have, because it's from the other game, what I have, once you reach a certain time, it also increases the score, I think. No, it's still doing it. No, it's not active. In this case, these are all 32 pixels, so it will always be 220. But this one will be 10. Let's see. It's 340. Should be 350. You see? 350. This will be 370. 390. So yeah, but I haven't enabled it, and for a moment I thought it was enabled. I do have a mechanism where you get this score increments depending on the level that you are, but it's not active. Okay, so the score works. So how much have we done today? So the jump I cannot fix. I need to run my program at HUD at score. Oh, yes. Done and done. So this I need to do this. Okay. So yeah, I think it's a good place to stop today. Yeah. So guys, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my stream. I hope that I will catch old school coder with my coding. No, I cannot. I cannot. He's too ahead, too much ahead. I do not have that time. But at least I will finish it, you know. And yes, thank you very much. Thank you all that joined, raiders that you joined from Gairogi. I hope you like what I do. If you like, press the follow button. Else, it's okay. And if you want to hear more about Amiga, there is Sunday, where I will be talking about optimization. So thank you very much and see you either tomorrow, but Italian, and Sunday or next week, anytime Tuesday or Friday. Bye bye.